All right, Stephanie, thank you. And he represents parts of the Valley and also Claybrook County. Joining us today is Congressman Vicente Gonzalez with the 34th Congressional District. Congressman, thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about some important items that we are working on right now, obviously on Capitol Hill. Tell us a little bit about that. So big, beautiful bill, the National Defense Authorization Act.
Yeah, those are things we got to do. The big, beautiful bill was passed, and I call it anything but. There were some things that I agreed with on the big, beautiful bill, but unfortunately, cutting $500 billion of Medicare was a non-starter for me. We have a lot of seniors that rely on that health care that they've paid into their entire life. It also cuts about $400 billion in Medicaid and about $280 billion in SNAP, which is school lunch programs, Meals on Wheels for senior citizens, some veteran lunch meal programs, and it's just devastating to have those type of cuts, and at the same time add about $3 trillion to our national debt. So the whole purpose of trying to of this administration initially campaigned on lowering our national debt, and this bill does the exact opposite.
So let's talk about some of the things that are in Washington that might benefit South Texans, right? I know we are talking about the National Defense Authorization Act. How will that benefit Corpus Christi? I know we have CCAD here, the Army, Corpus Christi Army Depot. So how will that benefit us here?
So that actually is the funding for our defense bases and military around the country. I actually was recently able to pass an amendment to assure that none of the funds that will be appropriated can ever be used to cut costs or to cut some of the production that we're doing at Naval Air Station Corpus Christi. In fact, that's one of the things that I want to hyper focus on as I start representing Corpus Christi, is to see how we could uplift the Naval Air Station here in Corpus, create more jobs, bring more defense industry. We're not doing helicopters anymore, but we're doing drones and we're doing other types of high-tech industrial projects that I think that would be a great fit for this region, and those are things that we need to work on.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you been over there to see and have talked to those people?
So last week I met with the Naval Air Station officials in Washington from Corpus. They were up visiting. I went to school on that Naval Air Station, so it's a special place to me, and I've visited many times over the years. And the fact is, it's deteriorated over the last decade and a half. We have about half of the civil service jobs that we had 10 or 15 years ago, and a lot of that industry, especially regarding helicopters, is no longer at NAS Corpus Christi. So I'm talking to the Secretary of the Navy, talking to the Department of the Navy and Department of Defense to see what we can fill in this place. It's an amazing, it's an amazing naval air station. Most naval aviators in the history of this country have spent some time here in Corpus Christi. I don't care who it is that you talk to, from back during World War II all the way to recent times. Mm-hmm. People come here because we have a lot of great real estate up in the air, and both here and Naval Air Station Kingsville, and we need to make sure that they get funded and they get reauthorized and that they continue to thrive.
Most definitely. So before we talked with you, there was a redistricting battle happening.
There was.
That obviously had already passed.
There was.
And so now part of Corpus Christi will be a place that you're going to be campaigning. So what are some things that you're going to do for Corpus Christi?
Yeah, well, the Naval Air Station is one. First of all, I'm from Corpus Christi. I was born and raised here, so I've been in Congress. Next year will be 10 years, and I feel like I'm coming home. I've been redistricted back into my hometown. I've been living in McAllen for, practicing law there and then representing the area in Congress. But the Naval Air Station is one. Infrastructure funding, it's definitely improved the coastline, streets, roads, bridges, drainage projects around the region. But I think one that is on everyone's mind and people talk about regardless of where you are on the argument is our water shortage. And we have an extreme water shortage here in Corpus Christi and the surrounding areas, as we do further south and in other places around the state. And the way I see it is the federal government needs to step in. And I think, I brought almost $8 billion in the short time that I've been in Congress. I intend to bring those resources to Corpus Christi and help resolve our water shortage problem. Whether it's desalination, whether it's filtering brackish water, finding ways to conserve. I know we had some great programs under USDA. While we filter and clean drinking potable water into the future, we also need to talk about conservation. Mm-hmm. We lose so much water. We lose about 40% of open air water to evaporation and seepage. So I brought hundreds of millions of dollars to my district just on those projects, just on conserving what we have. Every time we have rainfall or water flows in, we need to assure that we don't lose it to evaporation or seepage. But certainly we need to make long-term infrastructure investments to assure that in 10 years or 15 years, this will be a problem of the past that we never have to deal with again.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Desalination and cleaning and filtering brackish water are certainly parts of the solution.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Congressman, for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you for tuning in. We'll be right back.